the 16th Yang di-Pertuan Agong a memorable one. Malaysia positioned to punch above its weight economically. Good evening and Salam Malaysia Madani. You're watching Malaysia Tonight. I am Daryl Baptist. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Bilal Shah has described His Majesty's sending off ceremony after the completion of his reign as the 16th Yang di-Pertuan Agong today as a memorable event. Al-Sultan Abdullah also expressed appreciation to all parties involved in the ensuring the smooth conduct of the ceremony, which touched the hearts of His Majesty and Raja Permaisuri Agong Tunku Azizah Aminah Maimunah Iskandaria. His Majesty then expressed his appreciation to the federal government in organising today's ceremony.
Sambutan perkataan pulang bagi saya adalah satu hari yang cukup memorable dan daripada Istana Negara sehinggalah ke Parlimen dan PLIA dengan adanya pelbagai tunjukan kebudayaan. Pertama kali saya nak ucap terima kasih kepada kerajaan Persekutuan, pimpinan yang berhormat dan menteri dan para kabinet kerana telah dapat menyusun acara hari ini, dan hanya Allah sahaja dapat membalas kepada semua mereka yang terlibat secara langsung atau tidak langsung, masuk dalam mereka yang menunggu beri lambaian akhir kepada saya berdua.
His Majesty said this at the midday banquet held in conjunction with the completion of his reign as the 16th Yang di-Pertuan Agong at the Sultan Haji Ahmad Shah Silver Jubilee Hall in Kuantan today. Also gracing the ceremony were the Raja Permaisuri Agong and their Majesties' children, including the Regent of Pahang, Tunku Hassanal Ibrahim Alam Shah. Al-Sultan Abdullah also expressed hope that the people of Pahang would take pride in the achievements of their Sultan, who fulfilled his responsibilities to the country and its people since assuming the role of the 16th Yang di-Pertuan Agong. As the reign of Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Mustafa Bilal Shah, the 16th Yang di-Pertuan Agong, ends today, let's take a look at the next ruler in line to take up the post as the 17th Yang di-Pertuan Agong starting tomorrow. Kind, compassionate and amiable. These are some of the qualities possessed by Sultan Ibrahim Sultan Iskandar, the Sultan of Johor, which makes him an admirable ruler among the Johor people. Nur Maisara Ahmad Fauzi files this report.
Born on November 22, 1958, at the Sultanah Aminah Hospital, Johor Bahru, His Majesty is the eldest son of the late Sultan Iskandar Ibni Almarhum Sultan Ismail and the late Encik Besar Haja Kalsum Abdullah. On September 22, 1982, His Majesty tied the knot with Raja Zarid Sofia Sultan Idris Shah and was blessed with 6 children, namely 5 sons and a daughter. When his father, the late Sultan Iskandar, was crowned as the 8th Yang di-Pertuan Agong on April 25, 1984, His Majesty was appointed as the Regent of Johor. The reins of Johor were then taken over by His Majesty on 23 January 2010 following the passing of Almarhum Sultan Iskandar and later crowned on 23 March 2015. His Majesty also underwent military training in Army Training Center, Pulada Kota Tinggi and Fort Benning, Georgia, United States. As soon as he returned to his homeland, Sultan Ibrahim was placed in various government departments to further develop his leadership talent.
seperti di pejabat tanah, di pejabat kewangan, di pejabat setiausaha kerajaan, di pejabat pertanian, di pejabat kerajaan tempatan, pejabat hutan, pejabat pertanian. Semuanya ini memberikan peluang kepada tuanku untuk belajar. Jadi saya katakan tadi, dengan latihan dan pengajaran ini, dia develop satu personality yang all-rounder. Semua boleh buat. Dan itu menambahkan satu kecekapan pada tuanku untuk mentadbir urus kerajaan pada masa sekarang. Ya.
Despite his passion for exquisite vehicles, His Majesty also enjoys cooking, and Johorians are fortunate to be able to enjoy His Majesty's bubur lambu.
Yes, banyak kecenderungan tuanku ni banyak orang tak tahulah. Yang tahu mungkin tuanku pada masak, ya betul. Pada rakyat pun dia begitu buat masak. Misalnya pada bulan puasa sebelum raya, dia masakkan bubur lambuk untuk dihadiahkan kepada, sedekahkan kepada seberapa ramai yang boleh. Misalnya banyak orang tak tahu, kalau ada meja perhiasan di istana tu, dia punya barang-barang decoration itu dia sendiri yang mengatur. Kalau ada kuda ke ataupun ikan ke, patung yang pada seramik atau pada kristal, dia mengatur.
The transparency and authority of Sultan Ibrahim in ruling Johor proves that he is able to govern the country fairly and equitably.
Saya harap baginda dikurniakan kesihatan yang panjang untuk mentadbir negara kita. My second wish, saya harap tuanku dapat mentadbir negara seperti baginda mentadbir Johor. Yang ketiga, berharap baginda dapat memajukan ekonomi negara.
Semoga baginda dapat melaksanakan tugas baginda dengan jayanya dan dapat memajukan ekonomi negara sebagaimana baginda menjaga rakyat baginda di Johor.
On top of being addressed as the People's King, Sultan Ibrahim Sultan Iskandar is also well known for his firm and strong character in carrying out his duties. And that criteria will play an important role to preserve the prosperity and stability of the country. Maisara Fauzi, RTM.
That brings our special report to an end. Daulat Tuanku, and might I add that His Majesty's cooking really does look quite spectacular. Now, moving on to some governmental news. The government will channel a portion of the proceeds from bidding for vehicle registration numbers to providing Social Security Organisation, also known as SOCSO, contributions for taxi drivers. Transport Minister Anthony Lok, when making the announcement, said the initiative would be able to help more than 40,000 taxi drivers with a social safety net.
Kita bantu dulu pemandu-pemandu taksi. Yang kita tahu rata-ratanya pemandu-pemandu taksi ini adalah ramai juga daripada kalangan warga emas yang mungkin berumur, dan juga antara mereka juga ramai juga veteran-veteran tentera. Jadi kita mengharapkan bahawa inisiatif ini memberikan satu social safety net kepada pemandu-pemandu taksi, kerana kebanyakan mereka tak ada caruman EPF dan juga SOCSO.
He said about 50% of the proceeds from the bids for registration numbers are being channeled back to the people, involving various initiatives such as driving license assistance, helmet assistance and Fly Siswa flight subsidies. Lok said this after unveiling exclusive registration numbers in conjunction with the 50th Federal Territories Day. Lok today unveiled the Gold Series of number plates, a symbolic tribute to the Golden Jubilee of the nation's 50th Federal Territories Day celebrations. Prospective bidders interested in owning these special number plates can participate through JPJ eBid beginning 1st to 5th February at 10 p.m. The results will be known on 6th February.
NPI yang dimasukkan ialah tanda indeks yang mempunyai prefix hadapan, iaitu siri GOLD. GOLD, yang melambangkan sambutan Jubli Emas Hari Wilayah Persekutuan ke-50. Selain itu, penawaran NPI siri Go ini adalah merupakan usaha MOT untuk merealisasikan hasrat kerajaan dengan melaksanakan inisiatif-inisiatif di bawah kementerian seperti
He said golden numbers, considered the most sought after, will initiate bidding at 20,000 ringgit. Those desiring attractive numbers can bid from 3,000 ringgit, while popular numbers can be secured from 800 ringgit. For those seeking running numbers, the entry point starts at a modest 300 ringgit. Lok said successful bids must be registered to a vehicle within 12 months of the official results, which is from the date the official bid decision letter is issued. The previous bidding for FF Series, he said, had raked in 35 million ringgit for the government. And coming up, addressing structural issues will effectively attract foreign direct investments. Despite the challenges posed by ongoing geopolitical issues and economic risks, Malaysia is uniquely positioned to punch above its weight, as it did in the past. In saying this, Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Fadilah Yusof noted that 2024 may yet be another unpredictable year, with unrest and conflicts in Europe and West Asia, and that it is not hard to be concerned about the far-reaching effects.
There's also a lot of talk about political changes around the world, and it's interesting to see how this might play out. High interest rates are another thing people worry about, which affects the cost of living. We will see how this impacts the global economy as the years goes on. I believe there'll be a big focus on the US and China relations. As the economies are huge, whatever happens, we can sway things globally.
In his keynote address at the 2024 Global Economic and Strategic Outlook Forum today, Datuk Seri Fadilah pointed out that despite these potential issues and uncertainties, he noted that he is rather optimistic.
For 2024, Malaysia's economy is expected to grow healthily between 4% and 5%, as forecasted by the Ministry of Finance. The government is taking steps, for example, by reducing fuel subsidies and tweaking fuel prices to keep inflation in check. Additionally, our job market is strong, supported by positive business outlooks, low unemployment, and steady increases in real wages.
He added the implementation of key strategic plans like the Madani economy and the new Industrial Master Plan 2030 will further catalyse both foreign direct investment and domestic direct investment in 2024. Malaysia should look at structural issues, particularly to improve on the human capital contribution to the productivity and employment side in attracting foreign direct investments, or rather FDI, into the country. President of Malaysian Economic Association, Professor Emeritus Dato' Norma Mansor, said that despite the global economic uncertainties, with the geopolitical tension, Asia is seen as one of the thriving regions, with 70% of global growth. However, she said the incoming FDI is slowing down for Malaysia, as it is receiving less compared to other countries in the region. She noted that Malaysia's productivity is also slowing down, hence the need to improve human capital issues. Professor Emeritus Dato' Norma said the progressive wages proposed by the government could contribute towards the increase of wages, plus with more of the value-added activities and high-income jobs. Hence, the proposal to switch to digitalization for technology upgrades would support productivity, increase and boost the country's economy. In terms of inflation, AmBank Berhad chief economist Firdaus Rosli said the bank is looking at 3% this year, with upside potential due to the subsidy rationalization. On the ringgit, he said the bank expected the currency to strengthen to 4 ringgit 50 cent against the US dollar, banking on the Federal Reserve to make the first rate cut move. Malaysian Foreign Minister Datuk Seri Mohamad Hassan held bilateral meetings with Laos Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Saleh Umsei Komasith and Vietnamese Foreign Minister Bui Tan Son in Luang Prabang, Laos. Datuk Seri Mohamad, in a Facebook posting, said the meetings, which were held separately after the ASEAN Foreign Ministers or AMM retreat, recently touched on various matters, including the strengthening of cooperation between Malaysia with Laos and Vietnam. According to a news agency report, during the meeting between Datuk Seri Mohamad and Komasith, the two sides had expressed high appreciation for the friendship and good cooperation between Malaysia and Laos since the establishment of diplomatic relations in 1966. At the same time, the two foreign ministers also unanimously agreed to continue to promote existing cooperation in trade, investment, energy, digital, finance and tourism, as well as continue to support each other to promote cooperation and development in the regional and international arenas. Datuk Seri Mohamad led the Malaysian delegation at the AMM retreat from 28th to 29th January in Luang Prabang, Laos. The AMM retreat was chaired by Komasith, with the participation of ASEAN foreign ministers, the Secretary General of ASEAN and the Foreign Minister of Timor-Leste as ASEAN observer. All quarters, including city folk, are invited to participate in the public opinion hearing session on the draft Kuala Lumpur Local Plan 2040 or KLLP 2040. Ministers in the Prime Minister's Department for Federal Territories, Dr. Zaliha Mustafa, said the month-long session will start tomorrow and the feedback received would be reviewed by the relevant committee before it is gazetted in the first quarter of next year. At the launching of KLLP 2024 today, Dr. Zaliha said KLLP 2024 is a detailed plan that structures the policies and proposals contained in the Kuala Lumpur Structure Plan 2040, gazetted on 19th October 2023, which is an essential document in determining the direction and implementation capability of development in Kuala Lumpur by 2040. The public can review the draft KLLP 2040 at Menara DBKL 1 and Menara DBKL 3 or at exhibitions in 11 parliamentary constituencies in the city. Rakuten Trade expected HE Group Berhad, which made its debut on the ACE market of Bursa Malaysia today, to register core net earnings of 14.6 million ringgit for financial year 2024 and 17 million ringgit for financial year 2025. As at midday break, the company emerged among the most actively traded counters on Bursa Malaysia, rising 9.0 sen to 37 sen with 132.89 million shares changing hands. It opened at 43 sen for a premium of 15 sen from its initial public offering or IPO price of 28 sen per share. In a note today, Rakuten Vice President of Research, Tong Pak Leng, said HE Group is in a net cash position as at the 9th month of the financial year 2023 and is expected to remain so post-IPO. As of 15th December 2023, HE Group had a total outstanding order book of 211.9 million ringgit, which provided clear earnings visibility for the next 12 months. Meanwhile, the company had a tender book of 400 million ringgit as of January 2024, whereby 70 to 80% are in the semiconductor and electrical and electronic sectors, while 10% are in data centers. Management guided that its previous tenders had a success rate of about 30%. In a separate statement today, Managing Director Ho Chi Seng said the positive outcome of this IPO has not only affirmed the group's collective efforts, but also served as a strong motivation for HE Group to move forward, capitalizing on arising opportunities in the coming years. The company also seeks to strengthen its regional presence via the establishment of 2 new offices in Kulim Kedah and Johor Bahru.
The Federation of Malaysian Manufacturers, or FMM, has called for the deferment of service tax for logistics services pending further study to reduce the impact of manufacturers and the people.
FMM President Tan Sri Soh Tian Lai said in a statement that it views with concern the hike in the service tax, especially on logistics services, which is burdensome as it would impact all services along the logistics supply chain. Budget 2024 announced the increase in the service tax rate from 6% to 8% for taxable services and the expansion of the scope to include logistics services at the rate of 6% effective 1st March this year. FMM has recommended that the business-to-business or B2B tax bubble accorded to logistics service providers be extended to the service sector and manufacturing sector so that any business with a sales and service tax or SST license number is not charged sales or service tax. In this regard, FMM requested for the service tax on logistics services be deferred to further study the exemption mechanism to help manufacturers reduce the tax burden. Tan Sri Soh said considering that the service tax on logistics impacts not only manufacturing operations but its entire supply chain, FMM appreciates if the government could further consult with the industry to resolve all the concerns and introduce an effective exemption mechanism before the implementation of the taxation is finalized.
Shopee Malaysia's recent study found that 9 out of 10 of its affiliates are feeling positive about their e-commerce opportunities in 2024.
Its Championing Inclusive Commerce 2024 study of over 3,000 Shopee affiliates discovered that these affiliates are excited to humanize e-commerce with increased personalization, engage with more users on posts and live streams, and drive more traffic for local sellers aligned with their values. When asked about the e-commerce trends they are most excited to embrace in 2024, Shopee said 75% of its affiliates are enthusiastic about creating more personalized content for their audiences. The study also found that 94% of Shopee affiliates anticipate a surge in user engagement through the power of authentic content and interactive live streams. It said the data unveils a crucial shift in audience behavior, highlighting the growing demand for genuine connections between Shopee buyers and sellers, with affiliates taking on the mantle to digitally bridge this gap. In conclusion, Shopee affiliates collectively believe that the age-old phrase, honesty is the best policy, rings true when adding a human touch to their product insights and brand recommendations, as they want to build sincere and genuine connections with their audiences and aim to partner with more local brands and sellers aligned with their social and cultural values.
India will prioritize cooperation with Malaysia in the digital economy sector, placing it at the core of bilateral engagement in moving forward. India High Commissioner to Malaysia, B.N. Reddy, said this will be achieved by establishing the Malaysia-India Digital Council and operationalizing the Malaysia-India Startup Bridge.
Expressing confidence in the evolving relations between the new India and Madani Malaysia, Reddy emphasized that these ties would gain increased relevance and significance. He underscored that the India-Malaysia relationship is rooted not only in shared interests, but also in deep values, democracy, rule of law, and a preference for a rule-based international order. The Indian High Commissioner further described it as a natural and innovative partnership, foreseeing 2024 as a promising year for deepening bilateral ties. He highlighted the deep roots of digital economy in India, with unprecedented digital transformation in play, while stressing that India has produced 111 unicorns and boasts the world's third largest startup ecosystem, with 120,000 startups developed in 7 years. The current India-Malaysia bilateral trade stands at $20 billion, with plans to expand to $25 billion by 2025. Additionally, with approximately 200 flights per week to 11 destinations in India and visa-free travel for Indian nationals, India is emerging as the fastest-growing source country for tourists in Malaysia.
China's cultural industry registered year-on-year revenue growth of 8.2%, with fast expanding new business forms in 2023. According to data released by the National Bureau of Statistics, or NBS, the combined revenue of 73,000 major enterprises in China's cultural industry and related sectors exceeded 12.95 trillion yuan in 2023.
In particular, 16 subcategories with obvious characteristics of new business forms earned roughly 5.24 trillion yuan in 2023, up 15.3% year-on-year, with the growth rate 7.1 percentage points higher than that of all major cultural enterprises, according to the data. In 2023, Chinese cultural enterprises realized a total profit of nearly 1.16 trillion yuan, representing a year-on-year growth of 30.9%, and the operating profit margin was 8.93%, a rise of 1.55 percentage points over the previous year. In terms of industrial types, the business revenue of cultural manufacturing industry was over 4 trillion yuan in 2023, an increase of 0.6% over the previous year. Income of the cultural wholesale and retail industry hit over 2 trillion yuan, up by 6.1% year-on-year, and that of the cultural service industry was over 6.7 trillion yuan, up 14.1% from 2022.
Saudi Arabia has ordered energy giant Aramco to maintain its oil production capacity at 12 million barrels per day, abandoning a planned increase of 13 million barrels per day by 2027. The move, however, was not expected to have an immediate effect on production or exports.
The company said it will update its capital spending guidance when its full year 2023 results are announced in March. Saudi Arabia is the world's largest crude exporter, and Aramco is the jewel of the Gulf Kingdom's economy. Aramco's profits are expected to finance Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's sweeping economic and social reform program known as Vision 2030, which aims to lay the groundwork for an eventful post-oil future. Aramco reported record profits in 2023 after Russia's invasion of Ukraine sent oil prices soaring, allowing Saudi Arabia to record its first budget surplus in nearly a decade. Lower prices resulted in year-on-year profit drops of 23% in the third quarter, 38% in the second quarter, and 19.25% in the first quarter of last year, with fourth quarter earnings yet to be announced.
And that concludes this edition of Malaysia Tonight. In our top story, rain as the 16th Yang di-Pertuan Agong, a memorable one. Till then, I'm Daryl Baptist. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thanks for watching and good night.